In this video here, I'm going to show you exactly how I put together a program for my clients. I had a subscriber comment on one of my last videos. Let's call him Amir because, well, that's his name. And he said, I'm currently trying to gain weight. I'm 178 centimeters, 64 kilos. My goal is to get to 75, 80 kilo. Do I have any advice? So I figure, instead of just answering him in the comments, why not make a video? In order to make the video, I needed to get a little bit more information from Amir before we started. So I also asked a couple of questions and got a little bit more information. Now, to break it down, the first part we'll talk about calories and your eating. And then the second part we'll talk about your training split. So the first thing we need to do is calculate his BMR. Okay, in order to calculate that, we need 4 key components. Age, gender, height, and weight. So for Amir, 19, male, 178 centimeters tall, 64 kilos ring weight. Okay, our BMI is our basal metabolic rate, which just effectively is a fancy way of saying how many calories you burn just by existing. Amir's BMI, based on these 4 metrics, 1663 calories. So he wakes up, burns 1663 calories at rest. We then use our BMR as the basis for 60 to 70% of the total daily calories that we burn a day, which is effectively our TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. There are 3 other key components to TDEE. TEF, which is thermic effect of food, how much your body uses, how many calories your body burns by digesting your food. Your NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Fancy way of saying when you're walking, when you're scratching your ass, when you're pulling your pud, this here, you're burning calories. And then you eat, which is your exercise activity thermogenesis. Effectively, for Amir, he trains weights 4 times a week and swims twice a week. So all of the calories that he burns here will effectively go into his eat. Now, these 3 alone only make up 30 to 40% of your calorie intake, which is why exercising to lose weight is the wrong option. Now, if we then look at holistically how we calculate how many calories he burns from a TDEE perspective. A BMR is 1663. We've identified that up here. If he's sedentary, so he just sits, has an office job, doesn't train much, doesn't exercise much, he'll actually burn nearly 2,000 calories a day, which again is why if we control the in, it's easy to lose weight. Okay? Controlling the in is more than just saying no to food, but if we learn our cues, learn to control the in, we effectively lose weight. Okay, if he's lightly active, say 1 to 3 times a week, he'll sit at 2286. If he's moderately active, 2.5 to nearly 2,600 calories a day. And if he's heavily active, nearly 2,900 calories a day. Okay, weights 4 times a week, swims twice a week. Amir will literally sit in between the moderate and the heavy. So for me, it's roughly about 26 to 2,700 calories is what he'd be burning no matter what. So for me, what I like to do with my clients is not put them in a crazy deficit. I don't want to plummet them into a 1,000 calorie deficit because ultimately food is fuel for your training. And your training is how you build muscle, is how you increase your BMR, your TDF, all of these things. The way that you actually lose weight is by improving your habits over time. Because once you become the person capable, then the weight loss is the byproduct, is what happens when you become that version of you. Now, for Amir, he's in a very unique situation where he wants to put on weight. What we need to make sure is that when he is in a surplus, which yes means he's going to be putting on weight, the majority of that is muscle. Okay, you can't guarantee everything's going to be muscle. It doesn't work like that. But by being in a surplus and getting enough protein, it means that he'll maximize his muscle gains as well as be gaining fat. And then when he gets to a certain point where he's happy in his physique, where he feels solid, where he feels full, then he can go on a cut, keep that protein high, maintain that muscle mass, and ultimately drop body fat. Okay, so I don't like to put people in a massive deficit or surplus. Anywhere from 300 to 500 calories a day is what we're after. So I've set his calories at a 2,800 to 3,000 range, which effectively means across the 7 days, he can consume up to 21,000 calories. Every day, and this is the most important part, protein has to be 160 grams. I noted in your comments that you said you're hitting 100. We need to 1.5 times that as a minimum. Okay, protein is your most valuable macro or resource because it's the very thing that helps you build muscle and retain muscle in both building and cutting. Carbs at 390, now this is a liberty, this is an absolute luxury. Okay, carbs need to be this high for a very simple reason. Because you're lifting weights 4 times a week and you're swimming twice a week, you need to fuel your performance. Okay, carbs are your energy source. Okay, so hitting enough protein preserves muscle mass and obviously optimizes muscle growth when you're in a building phase. Carbs is what fuels your performance. The heavier you can lift, the harder you can train, the more muscle you build. And then you've got fat 75 grams. Now, if this goes to 100 and you drop this down to 320, whatever it is, that's not a problem. But your protein is your floor. That's the thing you have to hit. In the comments, you said that your goal was 75 to 80 kilo. That's fine. What I want us to do is park the thought of making a certain weight the goal to the side for a second. What we're trying to do is build muscle here. In order to build muscle optimally, protein, surplus. These are the 2 requirements. We want the majority of the weight gain to be muscle, which is why protein is important and which is why a small surplus is important. Now you could go 1,000 calories over every day, put on 1 kilo a week, a lot of it's going to be fat. However, if you're 300 to 500 calories a day, you put on 0.5 kilo a week, which means that your bulk phase or build phase will be longer. You'll be able to put on more muscle, and then when you get to a point, 75 kilo or so, then you can look at your physique and be like, okay, I'm overweight or I have fat, but there is a lot of muscle there. Now I can go into a cut phase. Okay, it's not about getting to 80 kilo because you can't turn fat into muscle. The biggest variable for building muscle is time. You have to be consistent in the gym over a long period of time. And that leads us to the training phase. So let's get into that now. All right, so let's talk about the training split now. Upper lower split. You're training 4 days a week, upper lower split. We need to leave an adequate amount of recovery in between because, and I need you to hear this, everyone to hear this, you don't build muscle in the gym. You send the signal to the muscle to grow in the gym, yes, by micro tears, by lifting heavy, by putting it under pressure, under tension. Recovery is where the muscle grows, which is why the food, the fuel, the rest, the water, the recovery, the sleep, so important to if you actually want to build muscle. Now, upper lower split. 2 upper days, 2 lower days. Okay, if you're going to do upper on a Monday, okay, I don't want it on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. It needs to be done on a Thursday. There needs to be that 72-hour gap for the muscles to recover. Okay, it's more important for leg day because a lot of legs sort of do overlap. You can do a push day one day and a pull the next, but by spacing everything out, it means that the body has enough time to rest and recover so that you can be optimal in the gym. Because the point of going to the gym is to build muscle, and the harder you can train, the more muscle you build. Very simple. So, we're going to start with upper. A bench press variation. Now, you can do a stock bench. I don't ordinarily stock bench because I've dislocated this thing 6 times. I usually use dumbbells or machines, but a flat bench variation, 4x8. Overhead press, so it can be a shoulder press with dumbbells, shoulder press machine, barbell overhead press, whatever it is for you, 3x10. Incline bench press, again, dumbbells, barbell, machine, Smith machine, doesn't matter, 3x10. Lat raises, again, dumbbells, if there's a machine there, if there's cables, a lat raise variation, 3x15, and a tricep push down variation, 3x12. Okay, that is your push day. Optimally leave 90 seconds to 2 minutes in between each set, and you want to be going within a couple of reps of failure every set. Okay, so when I go in for my push day, I'll warm up with a certain weight, 60-70%. I might progress to like 85%, and then I'll do maybe 2 sets at my top 100%. If I'm feeling good on my first one, I might even push to 105, and that becomes my new benchmark. That's progressive overload. Okay, very important technique. Take your time with the movements for the contraction in the muscle. Cool, so from there, we move to the next day. It's your first lower day. Okay, we've got a squat pattern. Now again, if you want to do barbell back squats, great. If you want to do like a Bulgarian split squat, great. A goblet squat, great. Doesn't matter, squat variation. That's where we start. Okay, then we can move into a leg press. Now, there are many different places to put your legs, put your feet that work different areas of your legs. Quad dominant, which means that we want to have our feet a little bit lower on the pad instead of higher, because the higher we are, the more glute focused it is. The lower we are, the more quad focused it is. Okay, nice and controlled throughout the movement. Again, leg press can be a single leg, double leg, could be an incline press, could be a flat press. Pick your poison. Leg extensions, self-explanatory. Again, move through the motion, keep it nice and tight. An RDL could be dumbbell, could be single leg dumbbell, could be barbell, could be Smith machine. Whatever it is for you, pick your poison. Romanian deadlift, working on the hamstrings, and then you've got a calf raise to finish up. This is a quad dominant focused day. Okay, so we're going to be killing our quads in this one, killing our hams and glutes in this one. Okay, then we move to Thursday. Again, adequate rest, 72 hours or so. Upper. Now again, if this is on a Wednesday, but then this stays Friday, that's okay. I didn't get that information from you, but that's okay. Upper pull. 3 back variations. Wide row, pull down, narrow row. Again, it can be a barbell row, it can be T-bar row, it could be a machine, whatever it is, whatever you enjoy doing. That's wide gripped, 4x8. Pull down, 3x10. Narrow row, 3x10. Okay, the pull down can be pull-ups, can be a lat pull down, narrow grip, wide grip. Again, variation is good, okay, but structure is important. 3 back movements. Then you've got a rear delt fly, could be on the cables, could be on the fly machine, could be just with dumbbells and a bicep curl. Okay, so rear delt 3x15, bicep curl 3x12. Lower here, ham and glute focus. So you've got a deadlift. If you're not comfortable deadlifting, and a lot of people aren't, so don't, just swap that for a Romanian deadlift. This is where you know, controlled, doesn't have to be crazy heavy. Here, you go a bit heavier, 4x6. Then you move into a hip thrust variation, anything that works your glutes. Okay, again, you might even be able to use a leg press here if you're more comfortable. Put your feet higher, focus more on your glutes in itself. Your leg curl, so it's a lying leg curl, isolated movement, 3x12. Lunges, 3x10. Okay, walking lunges, could be with dumbbells, doesn't have to be. If you can find a track in the gym and walk forward, lunges, and then you've got a calf raise. Okay, very important that when you look at the upper days, you've got 3 prime movements with your bench, your overhead press, your incline, and then you've got 2 supplemental. Okay, they're accessory work. Same with here, 3 main movements, 2 supplemental. Now, if you're finding yourself a bit tired after these 2 and you want to give your chest a little bit of a rest, you can add the lat raise in above, do the incline bench, and then finish with a tricep push down. Whatever it is for you. Now, the biggest thing is, don't do dumbbell press this week, barbell press next week, Smith machine press next week. Ideally, you're looking for 4 weeks in each block. Pick an exercise that is a flat bench, that is a flat bench press. utilize that flat bench press and try to progress in that 4 weeks. So whether it's an extra rep, increase in weight, better tempo, all of these things play a role. Now, the biggest thing for you, okay, especially if you're aiming to build muscle, is you're 19. Now, I started lifting when I was 19, but between 19 and say 32, car accident, dislocated shoulders, different career changes, children, so many things. And every time I pivoted or something new in my life happened, I ended up falling off. And that was my issue, is there was not enough continuity over a long enough time horizon to really see the change that I wanted to see. 12 months is a good metric, but it's really still a starting point. You're 19. If you approach this game of, okay, I'm going to live for the next 40 years, what you'll find is that at the start, what's a good analogy? I don't know. Let's say video games, right? At the start, when you're like a level 3 and you're attacking someone, you have to hit them hundreds of times, and then finally you break through. At level 30, it takes a lot less. And this is the same with muscle gain, okay? At the start, you might grow a bit quicker because you're sending a stimulus to your body doesn't know what's happening, but you're not lifting heavy yet. The heavier you lift, the more stimulus is sent to grow in your body, and the more you make gains further down the track. But to get to that point, you have to earn the right, and that is a long time. So realistically, this split here, with, you can keep it entertaining with the variations. You've got a flat bench press, that doesn't change, but the dumbbell, the Smith machine, the barbell, all of those things are what keep it interesting. This setup here will set you up for the next 20 years, but you're not really going to see too much crazy change in strength, in who you are, and all the rest of it for the next couple of years, 2 to 3 years. Your job, your challenge is to stay long enough for that to happen. And when you do miss a week, and you're going to miss a week because you're human, and that's what we do, the hardest thing for most people and the biggest thing to do is just return. You fuck up this week, don't try to make up for it next week, just return to the plan next week. If you can do that, all right, if you can actually stay in the game long enough, all right, you build that skill of returning. That is where consistency lives. That is what you're after on the other side of who you become. The longer you do something, the more you build the consistency, all right, and then that becomes who you are. Lifting for me now is a part of my life, but it took me 30-something years and over a decade in and out of the gym to adopt that. You're 19. You can adopt that now and live the next 40 years, inspiring others to do the same, living a healthy life, impacting yourself, the people around you, setting the example for your children in the future. When you walk into a room and you're fit, people pay attention. All right, you've started at 19. You've got a massive leg up on everyone else. Don't waste the opportunity. Okay, it's not about being perfect, but it's about doing it long enough for the actual process to compound into the required result. Eat your protein, 160 grams, small surplus until you get to that weight, 75, 80 kilo. Reassess from there. Be consistent in the gym here, 4 times a week. When you miss, return. You do that, you win the game, bro. Good luck with it. Let me know if you got any other questions. To everyone else, be good. I'll speak to you in the next one.